Time to sound off, Husker Nation. This is your Real Red Reaction Show on Lincoln's KFOR. Call the show now at 402-489-1240.
And welcome to it. Real Red Reaction Time, powered by Slim Chickens. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, the pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman. Going to be joining us in just a moment, but it is finally over. Nebraska's out of timeouts. And the Huskers fall 44-22 today to Utah. Elijah, it looked good early, and then it kind of resembled a lot of the season.
And then it didn't.
Utah let their freak of a quarterback, Devin Dampier, go off. Wow. 460 yards total offense, ran for 150, threw for 310, was a big-time difference maker. And, it was problematic for Nebraska. Were you expecting a miracle? Were you expecting a makeover? And probably yes, if you're hoping and going money line here for Nebraska. But just too much Utah, too talented of a football team. The quarterback run game, the rushing attack, a 210-yard day performance for the Utah rushing attack. Looked okay early, though. Mekhi Nelson, man, some bright moments for him. Nebraska, though, problems in the passing game. And we have a lot to discuss moving forward, what you need and what you need to nail in the portal for Nebraska. They finished 7-6 on the season. 489-1240 to get in, 489-1240, 800-825-5865 to be a part of Real Red Reaction here on KFOR, powered by Slim Chickens. Can find us on YouTube. Get a hold of us on Twitter as well, on KFOR Radio, at AJ Sports Radio, and also on Facebook. But tough finish for Nebraska, quite frankly, just outclassed.
And listen, there's nothing about that game that was necessarily surprising to me. I don't walk away from this game.
You got lured in when it was 14-7.
Yeah, and it's kind of what I thought. You had a couple months off. You had a couple weeks off. You had some time to get the bad taste out of your mouth of what the end of November was. You're feeling good about the work you've put in. There's some confidence back in the program. And then Utah punches you in the mouth and reminds you what you are as a football team, which is far from perfect. You're an incomplete football team. You have a lot of issues, a lot of warts. Utah was able to expose most of them as the game went on. I'm not disappointed. I'm not surprised. It's just what that game was supposed to be. It was a terrible matchup for Nebraska, and Utah went and did Utah things. Nothing about it surprised me. I think the real offseason now begins with the opening of the transfer portal on Friday, but that game just kind of underscored what we already knew about this football team. They're off the mark in terms of the talent acquisition that they've brought in. They've been off the mark in terms of development. Their offensive and defensive identity leaves a lot to be desired. It was a continuation. And whenever you didn't have your best players, Emmett Johnson sitting out, Rocco Spindler sitting out, Isaiah Hunter sitting out, I mean, you just didn't stand much of a chance. And yeah, you're right. You can be impressed with what the first 15 minutes of that football game looked like, but the final three quarters is what we know about that football team. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done this offseason. In the portal, your coaching staff's not done yet, but it just kind of underscored that you are not close to being a college football playoff team. As we talked about during our pregame show, a lot can change during an offseason if you have the culture and the coaching staff right. And that's the next question that I have, is the culture and the coaching staff right? We'll see, but the next task in front of you is going out and finding the right guys that fit your culture in the transfer portal, finding the right guys that fit what you need as a football program, which as it stands right now is a lot. And you're on to 2026. This game does not tell me Nebraska can't go out and compete in 2026. Far from it. A lot can change in one offseason, but it does remind you how far you are from being able to compete with the top of college football.
Well, and Bill Doleman joins us, 489-1240 to get in. We are in a different studio setup due to the technical meltdown we suffered over the weekend. So we're going to take your calls. We're going to ask your name, and you're going to jump on, and you're going to be polite if you want us to continue to take phone calls tonight. That's the law tonight.
It's New Year's Eve. Be nice.
No, I don't care if you're nice, but just don't get us off the air Monday. That's what I'm saying. Be nice. John emails in and puts it pretty succinctly with what he said. Butt kicked by a better team. better coaching, better motivation, better adjustments, no longer a secret. You have a head coach that's overrated, overpaid. And what will Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, Iowa do next year on the schedule? Happy New Year. And that's the thing I want to get to is with this coaching and culture. Big Latif fan. I like Latif. I am not as sold as him as a throw first guy. Like he can complete some passes. He's mobile. He can get you out of some trouble. But ultimately, there were some passes he didn't hit. There's some touch that needs to be developed in that intermediate area. I liked Mekhi Nelson running the football. I thought when Nebraska just ran it, you can't go a 85 Switzer tribute and just run it for 85 plays without throwing the football. I know you have to be able to throw the football, but I question Nebraska's ability to throw the football at a high level to win games against the Utahs, to win games against the Indianas right now. Now, it was uncomplimentary football yet again when the offense sputtered, and they sputtered, stop me if you've heard this before, second and third quarter after the script was up, it seems like. The defense couldn't stop anybody. So you started with what felt like a shootout, and then one team kept going, one stood and stayed still. So, Bill, thanks for listening to the blabbering here. We'll get to a phone call in just a moment. If you're on the line, hang there for a moment. But Bill, kind of a beat down that Vegas saw coming with that point spread.
Well, I just heard your disclaimer a moment ago that I have to watch my language, so it might be best if I don't participate in tonight's broadcast.
You go play in traffic like the rest of us right now.
Because, look, can I say that was an ass kicking? Real quick, can I say that was an ass kicking, or is that?
Yeah, that's fine. That's
okay.
Fine. It was. It didn't have to be though.
In the pregame show, and I think through the last few weeks, there's been an acceptance that, well, the close losses are okay because of who they're playing. But if you look bad, that's really bad. Minnesota game was awful. Penn State game was awful. Today. What's that?
They looked bad today.
Got their asses kicked. It was embarrassing. And before the game, before the game started on the pregame show, we were talking about, 27-21. That was probably not that bad, but they got embarrassed and they got put into they got put in their place. Everything. And it's what. I guess at the end of the year that you're finished product at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Great. We could go back to the beginning of the season, and the highlight of the 2025 campaign for Nebraska football was game 1 against Cincinnati.
Yep.
The other couple of games after that, Akron and Houston Christian, I remember saying that is fool's gold, fool's gold, fool's gold. Didn't matter who the quarterback was at the time. It was fool's gold. And then so many times this season, we saw Nebraska get out to really good starts and have leads after the first couple of possessions, after the first quarter, and then things get figured out, and then it's an ass kicking in the second half. So if the highlight of the season was the Cincinnati game in Kansas City, but the finished product is how you look at the very end of the season, then Nebraska got put in its place by Utah. They're not in Utah's league. They're not in the upper division of the Big Ten. And there are a lot of concerns that it doesn't matter it does matter what happens when the portal does open. But what kind of a team are you going to assemble? Is it just going to be a bunch of mercenaries? Where you're relegated to what they used to, call with college basketball teams that always went into the junior college transfers and you have no chemistry. Nebraska's had like the youngest team in the Big Ten for 2 or 3 years in a row. That's legit. They've had freshmen, true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and sophomores, more than any team in the Big Ten. At what point do those people develop? This is a developmental program. At what point do they develop? We're not talking about developing NFL players. Less than 1% of college players go to the NFL, and less than 0.5% of them actually have contracts beyond their 4th year. We're not developing guys beyond their third year of college football. Remember Matt Rule, when he came in, he said, we're developmental. I want to see guys get their second contract in the NFL. Second contract in the NFL.
Great soundbite to lure talent.
Absolutely. But you're not developing players enough that you really want to give them a second contract in college. And nobody knows what pay scales look like anymore in college. You know what they look like in the NFL. You know when the free agency period is. There are rules and parameters. You have no idea what guys are getting paid above table and below the table, because that's still happening. Don't think that in the $20 million cap or whatever that money was that teams had, they're still paying over the top of that. And whatever the College Sports Commission says, this is what you're paying, people are still getting money under the table, just like the old days. Is Nebraska going to become a whole bunch of mercenaries where you can't develop players through their first, second, and third year, that you got to go out and find players who developed in other programs? Other programs developed their players for you. That's where Nebraska is at right now, because people are looking, man, Friday could be, I don't want to say a bloodbath. Friday could be a revolving door with this football program, and who knows who's going to be in it. But you are hoping that other players, the other programs developed their players well enough that you can lure them into your program. You didn't develop the players in your program that they're going to pay off for you in their second, third, and fourth year at Nebraska. That's where this program is, and it was evident today that after the first quarter, Nebraska's defense should shelve black shirts. Okay, that tradition is as gone as the Texas A&M wrecking crew. Okay, they had drives of 9, 10, 9, 11, 9, five drives in a row where 9 plays or more. And they scored on every single one of them. And this was Backwards Hat Matt was helping out with the D-line. I love Phil Snow. I love listening to a Phil Snow press conference. He reminds me of Maury Amsterdam, who was on the old Dick Van Dyke show. Looks like he ought to be a 70s, casino guy. But turning the defense over to him and just saying, well, just see what you can do for the next couple of weeks. And then Backwards Hat Matt helping the defensive line, and they were getting 5 to 8 yards a pop every time they ran the football. And there was no pressure on the quarterback.
And when you did pressure
today is the finished product of Nebraska football 2025.
Do we still have a phone caller?
I think so.
Hey, who's with us? Thanks for calling.
This is Rock. You got me?
Yeah, Rock, what do you say, bud?
When Matt Rule had his great success at Baylor, the dynamics were very different, and I just don't think he understands or has a clue what he's doing. And the dynamics today, I don't think he understands. Now, let's forget Signetti. That's a lottery ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Let's compare to Fleck and Burt. There are two schools that do not care about college football. They don't invest in it. They don't have much to say for NIL. And yet look at the seasons that they have year after year and their bowl results. And you compare that, there's no hope. I saw no hope tonight. Well, they're gonna flip this into 11 wins flip this into 8 wins next year. But I'll leave you with this. I had a family reunion in Omaha, and I remember in the 70s, 80s, 90s family get-togethers in Omaha. The dominant conversation was Big Red football, and everyone knew everything. They were season ticket holders, alums, you name it. Growing up in Kansas City, they'd all come down from Mizzou, K-State, KU, stay at our place. We'd all go caravan. This year, at the family reunion, after a decent season and the hope for a breakthrough, nobody's talking about Nebraska football. One guy from Lincoln, an alum who married my cousin, we talked a little bit. He's kind of a fanatic, but they don't care.
Rock, I thought you were going to tell me you stuck Las Vegas Bowl tickets in his stocking and a fight broke out.
Or as I used to say in the 80s at Chiefs game, there were 2 tickets on somebody's windshield, and then he came back from getting a snack, and there were 4 more tickets on the windshield.
Rock broke in.
That's a family statement right there, Rock. That it's tough times. Appreciate you calling, dude, and tuning in as always. Good to hear from Rock. 489-1240 to get in on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens.
And he hit on something there with what the new era of college football is. And the new era of college football is there is some mercenariness to it where you got to fill your holes. The concern to me is that through your evaluation process last year, you didn't see the own glaring holes in your roster, or you couldn't go out and fill them, one of the two. And listen, I'm not a complete downer on next season based on what today was. We've known for about 2 months that this team was not good enough to go compete against a top 25 team in college football, especially one that had a mobile quarterback that loved running the football. That's what Utah is. This was a terrible, terrible, terrible matchup for Nebraska.
But they killed you throwing it early.
We talked about it a month ago. Yeah, your secondary looked maybe like they had regressed since their NFL passing game coordinator, DC, left the program. That secondary
Somewhere
was not what
on
they
some
were.
Couch, Butler was having a heater. Just said, "You miss me now, don't you?"
But the concern is based on what you went and did in the transfer portal last year and the type of high school players that you have brought into this football program. I mean, you need a pretty complete reset with, I'm not going to say all 22 guys offensively and defensively, but you're going to need a big
about
turnover.
8 each side.
You're going to need a big turnover this offseason. And based on what I've seen over the last 3 years, the big concern for me is not what happened today. It's the fact that time and time again, you have missed on your portal evaluations. You have missed your own holes in your roster. You haven't gotten fortified where you needed to fortify. That's the concern, is the own internal evaluation and that this coaching staff has had on their roster.
I'll say this, with that, the evaluation is different now than it was last year.
Yeah, agreed.
Because you've got your GM, Mr. Stewart, and that needs to go well. That needs to absolutely go well. Who's with us? Hi, you're on Real Red Reaction. Who's with us? Hello,
Bob.
Bob, what do you say?
Well, I can tell you this. You're not going to like what I'm going to say.
It's all right, Bob. It was a tough watch.
As long as you don't swear, we're happy.
I'm not going to swear. But I will tell you, Nebraska will win 3 games next year, and that's all. I have no confidence in the Nebraska Cornhuskers for next year. But I am looking forward to Nebraska being stopped by North Dakota State, my small-town team, because I think even they will beat Nebraska. I'd like to have Nebraska have a better record than that, but I have no confidence, maybe, that they will have.
Looked pretty rough to start selling confidence today and this season. You had glimpses of it. You had a good start to the first quarter, but then it just unraveled and a better team won, a more physical team won. You know, when it comes to strength and conditioning, Nebraska continues to get beat up.
To what I just said to you too, if I can go ahead.
Sure, go for it.
The reason why I'm so confident in North Dakota State is all you got to do. Yes, I know they're a smaller conference. All you got to do though is look at all the championships they've won, and you know, they are a big-time small school team that gets A1 talent for what they can get. And, you know, so what troubled me about Nebraska is, you know, they got beat by Iowa badly with a quarterback, Mark Gronowski, who plays for South Dakota State, that North Dakota State beat twice 2 years ago, and once this, well, including once last year. So I just, you know, I'm really feeling quite low in my confidence level and quite upset because, you know, Nebraska has always talked about how they were so unhappy with 9-3 or 10-2 or whatever. You know, I tell you what, I still wish yet today, and I'm not going to be over this anger until they find somebody who knows how to win.
Bob, I've got good news.
Was the best coach they had, and he still is the best after Osborne retired. There's not been a better coach for Nebraska since that time than Bo Pelini.
I don't disagree. I agree with you completely.
Bob, thanks for the call.
Bob, appreciate you. I got real quick good news for Bob. It's North Dakota, not North Dakota State.
Doesn't matter.
Better.
See,
489-1240 to get in. And Bill, you have the wheels turning. Elijah, you thought?
One thing he said there was that North Dakota State goes out and gets A1 talent. That's not what North Dakota State does. North Dakota State makes A1 talent. They find guys that fit their culture. They find guys that fit their identity, and they turn them into A1 talent. And that's, I think, the issue I'm seeing with Nebraska is they're not finding guys that fit the culture that they want to have. I'm not sure they've ever instituted the culture that they wanted when they first stepped foot on campus because, this shiny 5-star shows up, and let's go get some talent for them, some guys that can run nice routes, yada, yada, yada. The coaching hasn't been there in terms of developing the guys that you have on the roster, and the result is what you have today. And that is not me being out on 2026, because we talked about it whenever Dylan announced that he was going to be entering the transfer portal. It was a reset for your program. It's a change from what you want to do offensively and defensively. That identity you saw on the field today is not what Nebraska wants to be identity-wise come 2026, but you're going to need serious turnover among your roster to make it happen because, simply put, that was not a fluke today. Utah was that much better than you. From talent,
they were.
From coaching, from culture, they are that much better than you. And you have 9 months to get it right.
The other thing, too, is what do you want to be on offense? Do you want to stick with the run and then mix in the pass, or do you feel this urge, this addiction to throw the football, and it seems like you're up and you've got to keep pace, you dial up a pass, your drive goes sideways, or you get behind the chains by a yard. And that is, and you can't protect even when you're down 20, they're still not doing anything special. They're just beating your 6-year right tackle like he stole something. You just need better players, and you've got to spend that wisely and accurately to go flip this, or you need to make better players, develop better players. And maybe that's going to be possible. As a Nebraska fan, you've got some hope that Jeep Wade and Teasley can come in and find some guys and work with some guys. But Bill and Elijah, will get to the phone caller here in a moment as well. Defensively, you're a mess. You have been shelled. You've been beat up. This is the 6th time this year that you've allowed 200 yards on the ground. 6th. And you're 1-5 in those games. You escape Cincinnati.
It's a miracle you got to win against Cincinnati.
A little bit,
thinking
back, but you just don't have the same giddy up to get to the quarterback. I think you've got some guys that have potential to do it, but your front seven is not stopping the run. They're not getting after the quarterback, and it's fish in a barrel for offenses that have any semblance of a mobile quarterback or an athlete. And you played a guy tonight in Dampier that is as good as advertised, flat out incredible. And you know what? Utah is knocking on that playoff door. If you saw what that fringe playoff team looks like tonight, better than USC. They looked better than Michigan. I mean, Utah is for real. You got a horrible matchup tonight, but you didn't do any adjusting at all. And maybe it was helpless or hopeless to try and adjust, but you just got bludgeoned again. We'll have some of Matt Rule's comments for you.
Do we need him?
We'll get into TJ Lateef, that discussion point on top of what else you go and try and find in the quarterback. We'll get into some portal phone call real quick.
Sure.
All right. Who's with us? Thanks for calling here. Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens.
Hey, it's Vic from Denver.
Vic, how we doing?
It's got to be a quick call because I got to sober up before New Year's Eve dinner with the wife.
Do you?
What you guys think about, we look great in the first quarter. We look like world beaters the first quarter, and then we messed, for radio, the bed.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Why can't we hold that up for?
Same thing that happened against teams that have competent defensive coordinators. Nebraska goes dormant in the second and third quarter routinely.
Nebraska's that boxer that comes out in the first round trying to shock the world.
With
They're
a game
feeling
plan,
great.
too.
They're throwing punches. They got that good game plan. And then Bud Crawford adjusts, hits you in the face a couple times, and now you're shelling up in the corner. And I think that speaks to Nebraska's culture. That speaks to the coaching staff. It speaks to the players. It speaks to a lot. The fact that it's multiple times you've seen Nebraska come out guns a-blazing. Here's the confidence that you've been waiting to see from this team. And then the punch back comes, they hit you in the face, and you shell up in the corner. It says a lot to me.
Yeah. We go away from the run game. The run game, they got 96 yards in the first quarter. We go away from that. That was fantastic. Anyway, love y'all. Have a good New Year's Eve.
You too, Vic.
Next year will be better. That's why we drink the Roulade. You guys have a good night.
All right, Vic, take care. Look at Vic before pouring one more Templeton and Rye, making a phone call.
Coffee, brother.
NASCAR Eric checks in, and to clean it up a little bit, NASCAR Eric says Rule can complain all he wants to the refs. Not their fault. His team isn't prepared. 489-1240 to get in. Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens. Go see Hooksy and the crew. 14th in Pine Lake, 84th at Old Shady, soon to be 84th in Adams. And we just tell you kindly to eat your feelings tonight. Go get some chicken wings. Go get a pot pie. Go get yourself some of their delicious dessert. Maybe a salad for those of us that are going to be with the rest of the world at the gym tomorrow. And trying to clear out a little space for the steam room and more so to enjoy college football playoff extravaganza. Jeff Sims had a hell of a night. It's Arizona State able to get a win, but it goes into coaching. Listen, I think the culture part of this we talk about, I think there is absolute intent to go get some cornerstone, culture guys. But I think you do jump at what film says to you, right? And you go get some talent that's out there that you don't have because, listen, you talk to any coach, they say you want to be a good coach, get great players. And that's not wrong to go try and get, but it needs to fit, and you need to not be afraid to let him go. And with Latif, the answer to me in my humble infancy of watching football versus being a pro coach is the guy doesn't look like a drop back guy to me.
Nope.
He's an on the move guy.
He's got, I love,
and I think there's some skills.
I love the zip when it comes off his hands, but not a guy you want to drop back 30 to 35 times in a game. That's what the game script led you to believe today. But as you look to the future, could Latif be your guy for the future? It wouldn't.
I got to see him get way better throwing the football.
I need to see some development, but we talked about this 2 weeks ago, and Matt Rule got asked the question.
There's still time for him,
yes,
absolutely.
Yes, you need to bring in some competition for him. He needs to develop through the offseason, but it's something we talked about 2 weeks ago because Matt Rule gets the question at a press conference. He gets upset when he asked if this offseason is a reset for the rebuild of the Husker football program, and he starts treating it like it's a dirty word. This offseason needs to be a reset for the Husker football program. It's not a bad thing. Look at the results through November. Look at the results of the bowl game today. If that's not evidence that what you have built here is not working, I don't know what to tell you. It's time for a reset. It's time to retool. Maybe that's the word you want to use.
It's not working to the level you want to be at or the fan base wants to be at. You're better.
Yes.
You're better in the sense you're 7-6 and you're not 3-9, 4-8.
And something I've said a couple times.
But that's not satisfactory for the world.
On previous shows, this month, December needed to be a chance to step back. And I hope the Husker football coaching staff was looking at how Fred Hoiberg retooled and reset the Husker basketball program and brought in guys that fit the culture, that were coachable, a coaching staff, and a team that meshed. And look at him now. It's the best start in since 1928, 1929 for the Husker basketball team. I think that is the example the Husker football team needs to use of, is everything a disaster because Nebraska lost to Utah today? No, it's just further evidence that you need to retool the rebuild that you're putting together at Nebraska. And I thought Dylan Raiola leaving the program was the first step in that direction. Mm-hmm. I think that is the path Nebraska is on, is, hey, we need to develop an offensive, a defensive identity, an overall team culture. That's what this team is lacking, and that's what this offseason is for. And that's why I'm not dejected about what this bowl game means for the future of Husker football, what it means for 2026. I'm just curious to see, what does that reset, what does that retool look like, if Matt Rule doesn't want us to use the term reset.
Same movie, and that's the problem with a lot of Nebraska fans. Let's go back to the phones.
They did not call in for long enough.
Okay, 489-1240 to get in, 800-825-5865. As we'll get more of your comments here on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Can find us on YouTube. Do so there on the Average Joe Sports Show channel, the Real Red Reaction YouTube channel, KFOR Facebook, KFOR Twitter, KFORnow.com, and AJ Sports Radio on Twitter. It's where you can watch the show, stream us as kind of a thud to the end of the season. Bill, Elijah, let's talk a little bit here as we've hit quite a bit on the game with what did and didn't work. We knew Utah coming in, number 2 in the country when it comes to third down conversions, number 2 in the country when it comes to stopping you on third downs. Early on, though, it was the committee, right? We were talking about how would the running backs fare. Let's start there. I thought the O-line fired away pretty well, and you had a good rushing plan initially, and you got some positive yards with it. You saw Ives in short yardage. You saw Mosey come in, get his ankle kind of reconfigured and still stick it out. But Mekhi Nelson, where do you stand with him? Is he a guy you can move forward with on top of a portal addition? I saw enough from Mekhi, especially between the tackles. It wasn't just get him in space and let him get a block downfield. Mekhi ran really well, I thought, between the tackles. Ran pretty tough and showed some speed, a little bit more elusiveness with some off-season work. I think you got a guy there for Nebraska. Let's go to the phones real quick as you're with us here on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Who's with us? Thanks for calling.
Hey, I called back to say that Nebraska will beat North Dakota. I would say no, but they will beat them.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Yeah. North Dakota, not North Dakota State. It's all right. They're somewhat confusable. One's in Devil's Lake, the other's Fargo. I think so.
Fargo.
Devil's Lake's northeast part of the state. Bill, you've been to North Dakota.
You're the man who's
Dakota
lived in the Dakotas.
North Dakota's in Grand Forks, and North Dakota State is in Fargo.
Okay,
Grand
Forks. Devil's Lake is where you go party up there. My fault. Or you go ice fishing. But yay or nay on Nelson moving forward. Okay, let's put a yay or nay list together for the portal here.
Well, to me,
is Mekhi Nelson a guy you spend money on to retain?
And that it's tough because that's the question. But there is very few guys on this team to me that I look at that I say, yeah, those are the guys you go spend money to keep around. To me, this is an offseason of change. As we talked about, 7-8 guys, new starters, each side of the ball in the portal. It almost feels like, to use another Husker analogy again, it almost feels like going back to those early Fred Hoiberg teams and being like, Cam Mack, yes or no? Jarvey Green, yes or no? Like, clearly the talent that you have in the building is not working right now. So
why
are there guys you'd
why
like to
is it not working there? I'm going to go back to the guy that was on the show, or that spoke earlier on the show, the guy from Fairbury. He said, why is it that Nebraska is having to rely on other programs to develop their talent? That's what we're talking about right now. The transfer portal. Thank God the portal's opening on January 2nd, so Nebraska can go out and get players that were developed in other programs but are cast-offs from another program, or they're rolling the dice that they're going to make more money than the other program. And so Nebraska's going out there shopping when you've got 125 players in the program, got to get down to 105, but you have not developed the youngest roster in the Big Ten. This is not an excuse. That's a fact. Nebraska's had the youngest rosters the last 2 or 3 years in the Big Ten, including this one. But you have not developed your own players enough that you have to go wholesale shopping. I'm not saying that you're not going to go in there and get a couple of people here and there that are really going to make a difference. Like, you bring in Pritchett, he was supposed to be a difference maker, and I think the second half, maybe the last third of the season, he was a difference. Rocco Spindler was a difference on the offensive line, but that's what the portal should be for you. It should be a couple of places where you need to have that difference maker that's going to make a good offensive line a great offensive line. You're going to find that difference maker in the secondary or a linebacker. Maybe you bring on 3 or 4 different players on both sides of the ball, a specialist, fewer than 10, ideally fewer than 8. That's what the transfer portal should be, unless you're Kurt Cignetti and you're bringing 30 of your own players with you who have been a part of a winning culture. And he developed them there, and they were prepared to play for him at the Big Ten level. But why are we talking about and thinking about, man, I can't wait till Friday so Nebraska can bring in a whole bunch of players that have been developed elsewhere?
Well, because maybe that's your best hope based on some of the misses you've had on your coaching staffs the past years that didn't develop people.
Not only did you have good, then you had coaches that missed in recruiting. They weren't, apparently they're not only not great at developing the position players, but maybe they whiffed on recruiting and in talent evaluation.
So that's 3 strikes, you're out.
Well, and look at the places that you have brought in new coaches and look at what the development looked like this year and in years past. Defensive line, I thought, looked worse at the end of the year than they did whenever they started off the season. And that includes in the bowl game after a month of Matt coaching the group. And that's not necessarily a discredit to him because, again, the cards he was dealt trying to go coach that group, not great this year. But the offensive line, I thought a couple of guys looked better, but I don't think there was development behind the scenes. I thought today your running backs look better, and look, you keeping your wide receiver coach or trying to keep him or your running backs coach, despite the fact there's some big programs that would like to bring him in. On the defensive side of the ball, we do have to ask the question about linebackers. I don't think they looked very good today at all. Defensive backs today was a regression type performance, and I think as the year went on, I mean, teams didn't want to test them as much because you could just run the ball over Nebraska's defense, but they're probably held firm. I mean, there's not a lot of places you can look at in the team where there was development. I look at maybe running back room, maybe wide receiver room, and that's about it.
Hey, I thought Nebraska's linebackers looked
a little faster.
Here's the problem for them is they have too much traffic to get through to get to the ball because the offensive lines are pushing the defensive line of Nebraska so far back that it's hard for them to not just read and react where the hole is because everybody's coming at them. It's just a big traffic jam for them to get through. I mean, today what I thought was the worst Nebraska's defensive line has looked all season long, and that's saying something.
See, they tried to run counters, and there was a span. I know I'm nitpicking, but there was a span where, listen, it wasn't second and 4 and 2nd and 3 all the time. There were some 2nd and 8s. Hell, there was about 3 or 4 while the game was still in the balance, 3rd and 20s. That, let's rewind to about a half dozen Fiesta Bowls that made you want to grab Jack Daniels, where 3rd and 20 turned into 1st and 10 or touchdown. That's what killed Nebraska today, is they got Utah into some 3rd and longs, held them once to a field goal, made them punt twice. That's it. You had a point in time in several drives of those 9, 8, 11 play drives that ended up being 80, 90 yards, 70 yards, whatever. You gave up a monster.
What about third and goal from the 20?
3rd and 20 from the 20, and they throw it to Paul Bunyan in the end zone as he's throwing people into the first row for a jump, throw it to baby Gronk. Both their tight ends went nuts on you because they just matched him up on a tinier defensive back. Yeah, your third and Cornhusker Highway or 3rd and O Street, distance wise, is what killed you. You didn't get off the field, didn't make any tackles, didn't get after the quarterback. I mean, the guy had 3 minutes to throw the football, and then he found him open, and they outmuscled you.
That's a problem. They outmuscled. Nebraska does not look beefy. They're not. I mean, relatively speaking,
conditioning conversation.
Well, I think that's part of it too. They're not beating people on the. I mean, it's bad sumo, is what it is.
Is there a good sumo?
I mean, they're getting knocked out of the ring. I mean, the first body slap, and it's just disheartening to think that at the end of the season that this was what the final chapter is, the final look is.
Final insult?
Are you guys surprised? I find there is zero level of surprise.
The way it started lured you into some. All right, maybe they can hang around. Maybe they don't expect to win. But getting Fiesta Bowl where they're scoring 38 straight on you.
It felt the exact same as Penn State and the exact same as Iowa. There was zero level of surprise to me as this game went on.
So is it a larger conversation of whatever
this team is exactly what they were in November? We shouldn't be surprised by that.
Whatever the backward hats guy is saying, we're not listening anymore. Are we at that point?
Hey, real quick, I'm going to trademark Bad Sumo. Just for anybody wanting to take that. So yeah.
we need an Average Joe Sports Show t-shirt. There you go. The dirty little partner podcast of the Average Joe Sports Show is now called Bad Sumo. Towels optional.
Hey now. That seems like a good place to take a break, right?
Yes.
Let's reset here.
We'll take a timeout. Don't you say that word. Take a break. All right. Time for you to get in here with Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. 489-1240 to get in. 489-1240 to dial up. 800-825-5865 with KFOR, KFORnow.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Mull with Visit Lincoln. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your support of tourism and your generosity in supporting our industry through buying local, attraction attendance, and your continued return to many great Lincoln events over the years. And oh, what a year it's been. You might remember the messaging throughout the year that we are working hard as ever to secure events, and our involvement in local organizing committees was never greater, which is evident by the growing event calendar this year, which included NSAA State High School tournaments, a record-setting Gravel World Championship, the National Science Olympiad, professional tennis, and numerous other sports events, and the Nebraska Ag Expo, the second largest ag expo in the U.S. Oh, and did I mention the opening of the Sandhills Global Youth Complex and their successful first year of operation? We are excited to continue this momentum in 2026 and cannot wait to announce new events into our community. I'm proud of tourism in our community, and it's one more thing I enjoy about life in Lincoln. I'm Jeff Mull.
Did you know that Apple started in a garage? Google started in a garage. So did Amazon and Hewlett-Packard. At the next rodeo, we have nothing against garages, but this is for those burgeoning businesses that started in backyards, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, home offices, and also garages. Small businesses with smaller beginnings that were looked down on, tucked down too, but had the smarts to survive and the grit to grow. And now they're ready for the next chapter. The next level. Now they're ready for the next rodeo. The Next Rodeo is a creative partner that brings world-class thinking to companies who know where they're going, no matter where they came from. The Next Rodeo. The difference between the business you have and the business you want is one great idea. Get the full story at thenextrodeo.com.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or pick some up today at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery. Are now available at Wegmans. New year, new you, new Nordic.
KFOR. This is the Real Red Reaction Show. Phones are open now. 402-489-1240.
Back to Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Be sure to get out to see your friends at Slim Chickens, 84th and Old Shady, 14th in Pine Lake, soon to be 84th in Adams. Wings, of course, those wraps are incredible. The salads, and yes, the desserts are so good. So get to Slim Chickens today. Big thanks to Hooksy and crew for powering Real Red Reaction all season long, last season as well. Bev, thanks for hanging through the break. Welcome into Real Red Reaction. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make a comment. Well, Utah should be good. They've had the same head coach for 21 years, so they've had the culture. We've only had Rule 3 years. We've had, and then they let Emmett Johnson have most of the carries, so other running backs did not have the experience. We had a lot of injuries tonight on defense, so I just want to make those comments.
Sure. Bev, the coach that had been at Utah for 21 years took the Michigan job.
But it's still the program he built.
But yes, you've got the cement poured for sure. And there were coaches that said and deemed, you know what, Emmett's super talented, going to give him as many touches as possible. Guys are going to have to work and wait their turn. A guy like Mekhi Nelson waited his turn, showed, listen, he's an option for you, at least in a one-game glance for me. He's an option for you at running back, catching the football and running the football. So that's a positive. But overall, I mean, Utah absolutely is right there on that playoff door, trying to knock it down, eventually get in, right? And Nebraska's, you know what, supposed to be further along based on your head coach's history. The Big Ten says otherwise, though.
And I have another comment. Why, and I even told this to my brother, why wasn't he giving the ball to the tight ends more?
Bev, you are incredible with that question, because every pregame we say, hey, Lindenmeyer,
when he gets the ball, good things happen.
Yeah, 4 touches. Get him 4 touches, get him 60 yards. That'll work things out. He had a nice catch tonight, does a great job of blocking. I don't know why you don't throw the football to Lindenmeyer. I don't know why you didn't throw the football more to Borkature. He went down to A&M and had a heck of a season. You've got, who's a kid from
Carter Nelson?
Yeah, Carter Nelson. He was in blocking, which was good, but Carter Nelson's an athlete. So I being a Nebraska guy, I loved watching the guys named Gerald Armstrong have 25 career catches and 12 career touchdowns. I mean, it was the thing to do is find the tight end, because they were always wide open or they beat the linebacker or safety. So maybe that's on the to-do list for 2026.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for taking my call.
You take care. Thank you for listening. 489-1240. Bill, I think you're muted, partner.
That's my fault.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we could play the tight end game. We could have a tight end draft rather than talk about this ball game.
I was just thanking Bev for watching our language.
Oh. More comments. Russell is in. Says Texas beats Michigan by more points than Utah beat Nebraska. Did that happen? That thing was a 3-point ball game, wasn't it? What'd Texas, Michigan end up? Class? No one cares?
I was just going to go to the fact that, and I've brought this up before, and no, I'm not saying Nebraska is going to be a playoff team next year. But if you would base 2024's results on what the 2025 season was going to look like, you would have been way off on your playoff projections. A lot can change in one offseason. And it's something we talked about pregame. The question that needs to be asked is not Nebraska's current talent, because I think Nebraska's current talent, as evidenced today, is off the mark from a college ball playoff team. But do you have the culture and the coaching that can go out and find the talent that you need and get them playing at the level you need to go and play? Oklahoma was sub 500 last year, if you include the bowl game, and they lost to Navy.
Mm-hmm.
They were 6-7. They turned around and turned it into a college ball playoff season, because they get the culture
with that schedule,
culture and coaching. They got it right. They brought in a couple of key pieces. They get the quarterback position right. They have a defensive identity. Their offensive identity wasn't great, but they at least had an identity. Like, it's I am not. That's why I'm not walking away from this game
betting on?
demoralized.
What are you betting on? Can you find the right guys? Can you pay the right guys? Yes. Theoretically, Stewart and the evaluators can go get the next run of players that can get you to 8 or 9 wins. Maybe some of those are on your team that you do develop with this new staff and they're ready to go magically, that have been in the program for a while. They just needed a different set of eyes, better set of eyes to mold the clay. But can you get that right talent and then the coaching to improve that talent? That's the thing that's driven Nebraska fans nuts for years, and that has started the coaching carousel, is that you're not winning like you used to win. You're not beating teams that you're supposed to beat, I'm air quoting. And you're not playing and performing in big games. And you're not doing it with the talent that ever reaches their ceiling. Adrian Martinez, amazing first game out of the gate versus Colorado. Amazing first year. What happened after his freshman year, right? What happened with some of the guys? Too many guys never reached their potential for one reason or another, and now you have the threat of the portal, the transfer, and the dollar amount to go buy your backups or go buy the guy you're planning on starting in 2 years. So you better be able to get them to be a starter and a performer and keep them, or be able to replace them at a better level or at an even level. 489-1240. Who's with us here on Real Red Reaction? Hi, thanks for calling. Welcome into Real Red Reaction. Hello.
Hello?
Yep, you're on. Go for it. What's your first name?
Sorry. Here's what I don't understand about maybe the last 5 games Nebraska played.
Mm-hmm.
We get off to a hot start. Like we're off on a script, and it's like, oh my God, we're going to have a game today. 14 points in the first quarter today. I think we scored 10 against Iowa in the first quarter. Maybe scored first against Penn State, and then we go 2 quarters and don't score. What the hell is going on? I don't get. It's just flabbergasted.
Coaching and culture, I think, is what happens.
I think it's coaching. But what's your first name, man?
This is Kevin from Texas.
Kevin, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for calling in, Kevin. Yeah, it's a situation where there's no adjustment to the defense figuring out what you're doing. There's no plan B you go to that is going to work like plan A did. Or you're so good at your scripted plays, you keep running them until someone stops them.
Well, and
that's really it.
It's to me, it's coaching and culture. To go back to the boxing analogy, because you've seen it happen. A boxer comes out on fire. They look like they're going to perform really well. They had a great camp, and they get punched in the mouth a couple times, and their corner doesn't help them make adjustments whenever the other fighter makes adjustments, and they don't have the heart of a champion. They go shell up in the corner. Coaching and culture are the two things I look at. Why that happened 3 straight games. What is your coaching like?
It's ironic that you bring up the boxing analogy and you mentioned Bud earlier, because that's every Bud Crawford fight where his opponent comes out, looks really good for the first couple of rounds. Bud looks a little tentative the first couple of rounds. Then 4, 5, 6, 7, there was usually a knockout or it just became a one-sided affair. He had close fights, that went 12, Canelo, all that. He had close bouts, there's no question. But isn't it ironic that the greatest fighter of at least this century lives up the road in Omaha and knows how to counterpunch the counterpunch and has a fight plan that goes from beginning to end? And down the road, his home state team that he loves comes out like one of his opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no answer once once the bud that Nebraska faces starts knocking them around. But it's ironic. That's exactly Nebraska. Nebraska football is a Bud Crawford opponent, when in reality, the guy lives and loves Nebraska football.
Bill, I gotta ask you, did you have a problem with Rule taking timeouts to try and put some more lipstick on?
No. I mean, some of these guys are playing their last snaps ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a bowl game. It just play it out.
Some of these guys try to put tape out there for why they should be on the roster next season or why they can go play for somebody else. No,
yeah, it
was competing versus trying to make it look better.
Yes,
compete till the end.
Yes, that's what I thought it was. Back to the phone lines.
Sure.
Who's with us?
Hi.
Hey, Elijah, this is Dave from Vegas.
Dave, how's Vegas treating you?
Hey, good. I was sweating my $9,450 bet. I thought, oh crap. The first 14. Hey, look.
But you're not sweating anymore, Dave, are you?
Yeah, I did win money on the. I'm going to bring some food to you guys next time I'm in Lincoln, because I live in Gretna now. I bought 3 houses in Gretna for my step cousins. But anyway,
buy one more and you get a hotel.
I think it's time.
I need your betting tips, man.
Yeah, I think it's well, hey, it might be 6.5 next year, and people will say, "Oh, that's too low," but it's not. Did you know that Nebraska averages 3 losses a year at home since they've entered the Big Ten?
I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, I think it's time for Troy Dannon to stop coddling Matt Rule and say, hey, you need to make the playoff in the next 2 years, or I need to see some progress. Because, he gave him that extension, and the fans are going right now, what the heck,
I mean, if you don't get the proper reset and retool this offseason and it looks bad next year is a hot seat type year for me. Simple as that.
It has to be. Just like the Dr. Pepper commercial.
Dave, let me ask you this. Bill, let me ask you this. Elijah, let me ask. $71 million is the number to do more than reset.
Oh, you can get some private investment. There's ways in college football now. If college football has shown us anything in the past 2 to 3 seasons, it's that the dollar amount does not matter.
Nebraska's been the winning lottery ticket for a lot of head coaches.
Can you imagine the number of millions of dollars that Nebraska has spent since entering the Big Ten? The return on investment has to be minus 10,000 if you do the stock market. But I'll let you guys go. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
I appreciate it. Listen, you're at the point, Bill and Elijah, where even former Commissioner Delaney has said this. This was before he stepped away. But Nebraska needs to start being Nebraska, okay? And listen, the transition wasn't good, but it stabilized. You got to a Big Ten title game really early in the move. And then you made an idiotic decision, whether you like him or not. He was still winning you 9 ball games, and you were contending every other year at a minimum for the West. And if you weren't, you were still at 5-3 in the league, and at least 9-3 going to a decent bowl game, competing, sometimes winning, beating a Georgia in Bo. And I know there's not Bo fans here, but yeah, you have a situation where you're going to have one more mega merger between now and 2040, where it's going to be an expanded playoff, and financially you are still you're a top 10 program right now. Your eyeball viewership has dropped a lot this year. It just has. Your peak this season was 5 million viewers with the Michigan game. But you are continuing to be a ship without a port. And are you in danger of being left out of that coveted group of 60 squads or 40 teams or whatever it turns out to be that are your upper echelon playoff contenders? I mean, you are at that point right now where you need to start 7-6 and 7-6 isn't great, but it's not to the point where you're up for relegation.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. You are in danger of that. And that's why I don't think the buyout number matters next year. If the reset, retool, whatever you want to call it, which needs to happen this offseason, if it doesn't happen, or if it doesn't properly reset where this rebuild is at, that's why I think, yes, Matt Rule should be on the hot seat next year. If it is the type of season that folks fear, which is that 3-9, 4-8 type season, it would show you that Nebraska is not moving in the right direction.
You go 7-6 next year with that schedule.
And they're moving towards their next conference being the MAC as opposed to the college football super conference, which is inevitably coming. That's why teams out there in college football are showing you right now that the buyout number does not matter, because the amount of money you are set to lose in the future if you are not in that super conference of college football, it's a lot more than whatever you drop on a coaching buyout right now. Yeah. That's absolutely why I think the number does not matter next year. Mm-hmm. Matt Rule needs to feel the pressure this offseason. I think he does feel the pressure this offseason. I think that's why he has the press conference moment where he's upset whenever somebody asks, is this a reset? It's because he's feeling the pressure. You know what? You should be feeling the pressure. This season was not good enough. This team was not good enough. Your coaching staff was not good enough. You've made steps on the coaching staff. You're going to have 2 weeks in the portal to make steps on your roster, but you need to have the reset to develop an offensive identity, a defensive identity, a better team culture. There's a lot that needs to be fixed with this football program. If you didn't see it before today, I hope you see it now. But this game, it's not a surprise to me. There was a lot wrong with this football program, and it's time for this offseason through January, February, March, April, May, June to reset where you're at. By the time fall camp rolls around, that's too late. You have about 6 months to get your coaching staff and your players right. Fall camp is for sharpening the iron before the season starts. And then you need to go out and, hey, it doesn't need to be 9-3 next season, but you need to show the fact that you understand there are deficiencies in your football program right now, and you've taken the necessary steps to fix them. If it looks like 3-9 or 4-8 next year, it makes me think, okay, you have not made the necessary steps, and the money you're set to lose in the future in college football is more than that $70 whatever million buyout.
Bill, what about the danger zone here for Nebraska? What do you believe?
Well, I do agree that next year is really a pivotal year for whatever Matt Rule wants to do. And if Nebraska is 7 and whatever next year, that's I don't mean that's good enough, but it's probably going to be viewed as good enough for another year. But this is a program that cannot get mired and stuck in 6-7 and 7-6, and then 8 wins is a nice year. 8 wins probably would have been acceptable this year, but it's the way that the losses happened that were the worst part about this year is the losses are just glaring. Tell me where there was where was there a painful loss? Michigan maybe, but there's fool's gold there too. I go back because you got the Hail Mary at the end of the first half. So that's a 2-score game, but you battled Michigan pretty well for the most part. Probably shouldn't have won, but that was the identifier. This is how teams are going to beat Nebraska going forward. And sure enough, they proved it. Just run the ball at them. The most fundamental thing in football is just running the football straight ahead and seeing what you can do. You can get 5 to 6 yards a pop. Okay. So, but what loss after Michigan do you go, that was a hell of a game, and I can see where, they just came up short. Oh, Southern, USC?
SC
okay.
Is it.
Okay, then let's name the rest of them.
They got rocked by
Minnesota, one of the most embarrassing losses I've seen in my 50-plus years of watching Nebraska football. Penn State, embarrassing loss at Penn State. Iowa. Two good series to begin, and you get beat by 20 plus, not even a game. Iowa and Utah are very similar. Close games for 2 or 3 series. Then they figure it out, and Bud Crawford comes in and knocks you out. So the losses this year are ugly. Scott Frost, oh my God, I can't believe I brought that up. What was the trademark of the Scott Frost era? Close losses, one score losses all the time. Oh, so close. Nebraska is getting their asses handed to them and losing 3-score losses and not being close.
Yeah.
Right? USC, yes, that was a good ball game. Raiola got hurt. I'm not sure that he's the difference maker. That if he hadn't got hurt, like Dana Holgerson said, that would have had a different outcome. I'm not convinced of that. But the losses are ugly. And they are gaping wounds. They're not nicks. Nebraska's not losing death by 1,000 paper cuts. Oh, another 6-point loss, another 3-point loss, a last-second field goal loss. No, it's 3-score losses and getting beat up for 3 quarters. That's what Nebraska fans hate more than anything, is the lack of competition and just getting embarrassed. It's one thing to get, bruised and like have these gut-wrenching, gut-punch losses. It's another thing to after the game have your head patted. Wouldn't you rather get gut punched than have your head patted? Like, oh, that was a nice effort. Here's your ribbon. You look good off the bus. You got the best facilities. Now go have somebody develop some people for you. Right? Nebraska's getting their head patted and not getting gut punched anymore.
And that is infuriating. You can lose, don't get embarrassed. And it's been a season of embarrassing losses. You aside from Michigan and SC. And if we want to get down to it, I mean, the reason Nebraska probably beats Michigan if Sharon's on the sideline.
I maybe agree with that, but look at the teams that Nebraska lost to this year and compare it to what Matt Rule's vision was in his opening press conference at Nebraska. You lost to the schools that are developmental and physical, the teams that are solid along the lines of scrimmage. Minnesota, Michigan, USC, kind of. That's a different type of loss, but in Iowa, Penn State, Utah, it's the schools that have the vision and the execution of what Matt Rule said he wanted to do from day one on campus. Your plan for the rebuild, whatever you had on day one, is not what your plan was last offseason and the offseason before. And that's what this upcoming offseason is. It's resetting what your rebuild is. And I think personally getting back to the roots of what you thought you wanted to be whenever you step foot on campus. Because, and Schmidt and I talked about this during the break, what today was not an indictment on 2026. It was an indictment on what you did last offseason. You had the wrong plan of attack last offseason. You had the wrong plan of attack the offseason before, and the result is the loss you had today. Mm-hmm. Now it's time to reset what you have and get back to what you thought you wanted to be whenever you step foot on campus, which was the teams that were like Minnesota and Iowa and Utah, that were developmental, solid along the lines of scrimmage. Do they have a whole bunch of NFL guys in their skill positions? No, but they have NFL guys in their offensive and defensive lines, and it sets the floor for what you are as a football program.
They end up, Pig Farmer and Row the Boat end up turning at least somebody in all position groups through a 4-year, let me keep them, into a guy that can go play on Sundays. There's somebody from a position group room that goes into the NFL. Fleck has had that his entire career. He's had somebody drafted from a position group, period. And that is what you need to be. Captain says the fan portal is open. if you're ready to flee. 489-1240. We have about 30 minutes left here on air. And we have a little bit of time maybe for Average Joe After Dark. We'll try and get the Matt Rule post press conference for you. We're still working with a bit of a skeleton situation here technically.
I'm going to be honest here, and maybe people out there can change my mind on this.
I want to hear what he has to say.
See, I disagree. Is it going to be any different than what he said after Iowa or after Penn State? It was the exact same loss.
Credit to them.
Just copy and paste.
Credit to them.
Copy and paste.
Yeah, credit to them for sure. 489-1240. We are powered by your friends at Slim Chickens.
I can't wait to hear how we didn't expect it.
14th and Pine Lake, 84th and Old Shady, and soon to be 84th and Adams. Quick time out. We'll get more of your thoughts, more of your comments in the stream, as you always find us here with the Average Joe YouTube channel or Real Red Reaction YouTube, on KFOR Facebook, Twitter, and follow along also on the Average Joe Twitter handle, AJ Sports Radio, and KFOR Radio, KFORnow.com.
Hi, I'm Justin Wozni, Funeral Director at Roper & Sons. When families come to us, it's often during one of the most difficult times of their lives. My role is to be there, listening, guiding, and helping you make decisions that feel right for you and your loved one. Whether it's planning a meaningful service or simply having someone to talk to, Our funeral directors are here to support you every step of the way. At Roper & Sons, you're never alone.
Another year of KFOR's Operation Santa Claus is finished, and it wouldn't have been possible without your generosity. Thanks to your support, we brought the magic of Christmas to less fortunate children in Lincoln. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our partners who work tirelessly behind the scenes to make it all happen. Local social service agencies for gathering the children's wishes. Hobbytown, Lincoln Children's Museum, and Shields for their help with toy shopping. Target, not only for assisting in shopping, but also for donating the sacks we use to organize the toys. The Clay Smith family for providing the North Pole facility to store and sort the toys. Brent Stellick of Bryant, Cott & Associates PCCPAs for managing Operation Santa finances. And most importantly, a very special thank you to the Nebraska National Guard volunteers for their incredible effort in sorting and distributing the toys. And finally, to everyone who donated, you are the true heroes of Operation Santa Claus. From all of us at KFOR, we wish you and your family a joyous holiday season.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or pick some up today at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery. Are now available at Wegmans. New year, new you, new Nordic.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln. This is the Real Red Reaction Show. Phones are open now, 402-489-1240.
Back here on Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens on KFOR. That's Elijah Herbel, Bill Doleman, Chris Schmidt. 489-1240, 489-1240. I think what we're going to do, and can you, let me just ask you some behind the scenes stuff here publicly. Can you play the rule stuff after 7:30?
The stream wouldn't hear it.
Okay.
So which would be bad. Yeah.
Okay. And scene. Okay. Well,
and we're back.
So let me ask you this, Bill. If you were to download on like a MP3 thing and then send it our way, could that be doable?
Well, does he even have the MP3 of the Matt Rule audio?
I don't know.
I mean, I can tell you what he had to say. Didn't see it coming. I really thought our guys fought hard. Yeah, we're going to have to get back and watch the film and evaluate. Excited for the portal window. We think we can improve our team. Excited for the new coaching staff. Don't think that game today embodied who we are as a football program.
Credit to them.
Credit to them. Credit to them. They had a great game plan. They made some great adjustments. No, we don't need to reset this offseason. There it is. There's the Matt Rule press conference.
If they take 10 players in the transfer portal, that's a tweak. If they take 20 players in the transfer portal, that's a reset. Any more than 20 is a rebuild.
So 20 is your line in the sand, is it?
I don't know at this point. I would like to see players that they have brought in be developed to become the players that they expected them to be, that they thought that they could coach them up, that everybody got excited about on signing day and heard how the high school coach has said, I've never had a player like him before. Nebraska's getting a really good one. Plays the game at a different level, on and on and on. And people get excited about him. And you got to have him. And then get him. And then nobody knows what happened to him.
Maybe I can do it this way.
Are you going to play it through your phone speaker into your mic?
Yeah, I might. Just going to turn this mic on over here.
I don't really care. I thought we were having a good conversation going.
No, we absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll play it after 7:30, holding my phone up like I'm, pirating Grateful Dead music.
Here's what I'll say.
Back to self-development, though.
The Husker who had the best performance of the day was my KRNU announcer, Arden Lockheim, member of the Husker women's golf team. She was stellar today, calling the game with her dad, and did the College of Journalism and Mass Communications, and all of us who are alums. She did us very proud, and I could not be happier that we were able to pull that off for her and her family. So that was the best performance by a Husker in Las Vegas today.
That's a nice assignment, Professor. Go do a blowout and have plenty of fill ready.
Well, let's be clear. That's also the main thing that people actually remember about this 5 years from now. This game today, specifically. The season as a whole, maybe not. But listen, that bowl game today, and I've said this a couple times, I'll say it again, it is a representation of what your 2025 season was. It does not necessarily represent what you are moving forward. I'm not surprised at all by the performance. The team is very far from where they need to be. That's clear. But that was also clear a month and a half ago. Probably clear 2 months ago after the Minnesota game. This team did not have the it factor to go compete with the top of college football. And what is Utah? They're near the top of college football.
I lived through.
They didn't have to compete with that.
Look, I lived through a lot of games back in the day when Nebraska got sent to Miami to play Miami in Miami, Florida State in Miami, play Florida State in the Fiesta Bowl, and I remember I think it was 22-0 in an Orange Bowl game, and going down there and not Nebraska having any business being on the field with them. Nebraska dominated the Big Eight, won a championship against the teams that were on the schedule, but when you lined up on the field against those teams, you knew there was no chance whatsoever that they were going to win. And I think it was 22-0 in an Orange Bowl against Miami. And it was just so glaringly obvious that they're operating at a much different level with a much different athlete than Nebraska was. And what happened? Tom transformed the program. It took a little while. I am not saying Matt Backwards Hat or Matt Rule is Tom Osborne by any stretch of the imagination. But they're going to do something that is going to transform this program, because what they're doing, and I'm talking about more than a rebuild, and Tom knew that. Look, Tom went through a major reset of the program after the losses to Oklahoma and Georgia Tech. What were they, like 45-10 back-to-back in 91?
They lost 3 out of 4 in 1990. They blew a 12-0 lead and gave up 27 points to Eric sleeping with Bieniemy in that frozen, where my big toe is still not thought out game.
Right.
In 1990, they was playing for number 1, Colorado, Nebraska. The Huskers were number 3. Virginia, Georgia Tech played the same day. Nebraska was a quarter away from being number 1. And Bieniemy and company rang out 27 straight points in the fourth quarter. And then you go smack the Jayhawks around, and then you get destroyed by Oklahoma down there. They can't go to a bowl game. They throw Mickey Joseph into the bench, cuts his leg. And then Georgia Tech. The only thing that saved that thing from being 100-0 was T.O. getting up at halftime, kind of telling folks that, you know what, you never know when it might be it. All right. And they came out a little bit more impassioned, but Georgia Tech was really good. They got beat by 2 of 3 better teams. Colorado really good that year. Georgia Tech really good that year. Shocking. Nebraska got to play both national champions. They had about 3 years in a row of doing that. But, Bill, that season forced a change. And you also had a new AD coming in.
And Tom, and when that happened, and look, we're going back in history, and again, I'm not comparing Matt Rule, but Tom recognized that everything in that program needed to be changed, and that meant, Boyd Epley had to get back on the floor and be a strength coach, and not just be an ivory tower supervisor. I mean, he looked at strength and conditioning. He brought in Dave Ellis for nutrition. He changed his offense more got the right quarterback. He brought in, changed philosophy on defense, all those things. And you're talking about the great coaches in college football at that time going, we got to reset.
9-3, 24th in the country. And by the way, they had the 3rd and 4th guys drafted that year. They had about 5 or 6 guys drafted that year.
Well,
in 90.
My point about this, bringing up as Tom, is Matt Rule can't get tweaked when Steve Sipple asks him about reset. The greatest coaches in the history of the game have reset their programs, swallowed their pride, and not just said, well, it's just a thing. We're close. We're close. We're close. You weren't close today. You weren't close against Iowa. You weren't close against Penn State. And after you got your extension, you went out and had one of the worst performances in the history of Nebraska football at Minnesota. Okay? So swallow the pride and say, yeah, we need a total reevaluation of everything in this program, from nutrition to team psychology to unity council to strength and conditioning program. We might look good. Nebraska, again, is a great off-the-bus team. There's no question. Nebraska looks great off the bus. But thank God they don't have to defend the bus, but they're good off the bus.
Well,
right?
And I think
so.
If you want to
He needs. I'm not comparing Tom and Matt. I'm just telling you, if you're Matt Rule and Steve Sipple asks you a question about reset, maybe it would be. I have no idea what he said today. I don't know what he's going to say, if there's going to be another postmortem. But you know what? That was unacceptable. The last 4 losses were completely unacceptable. We do need to reset what we are doing and who's doing it, and make some changes in this program. We're not that close. We're not just a little tweak away. No, they're not.
To use a more recent example, I've been talking Husker basketball a lot over the past couple weeks. Want some stats from Fred Hoiberg after his first 3 years at Nebraska?
8 wins,
20-61 overall, 60-56 against power conference teams. He was 1-28 in road games and 5-46 in conference play. You know what he did? Totally reset his program. New assistant coaches, a new recruiting coordinator.
He got Lenzer.
He completely changed the type of players he was bringing into his basketball program. Year 4, was it perfect? No, but you started to see some progress. They reeled off some wins at the end of the year. And what's year 5? It's an NCAA tournament appearance. That's what it was. It took a total reset of that program. You were building up from nothing. You were building up from less than where Matt Rule started with the Husker football program. That team was horrible Fred Hoiberg's first year, and there was no talent to be found.
There was talent.
He did what he could the first 3 years, brought in some talent where he could, and realized, you know what?
He had zero chemistry.
My vision for this program is not working right now. I need to reset, bring in a different type of player. He brought in a different type of player, and now a couple years down the road, he can get back closer to what his original plan was, which was it's a fun offense, guys that can shoot the 3, but more importantly, they have chemistry. They have a culture. They have assistant coaches that develop players. Look at the guys who are playing this year and look at their development. Sam Hoiberg, Cale Jacobson, Burke, even Rink. Guys that have just gotten so much better since they have stepped foot on campus.
Kisei's story.
Yes, exactly. It's you can go to Osborne or you can go to Hoiberg. I mean, these are some great coaches we're talking about here. When they realize something isn't working, they make a change. They reset where their program's at. They change up their own personal beliefs for the program because they know, hey, what I'm trying to do right now isn't working. That's what I look at with Husker football and what this upcoming offseason is.
Well, what's that breaking point moment? Is it 9-3? You finish 24th in the polls. The sky is falling. People are out on you. If you're Tom Osborne, almost 6 years ago, is it Nick Saban where you go 11-2 and your 2 home losses are to Johnny Football and Cam Newton. And at that very moment, he's like, I'm going to go get more mobile quarterbacks, i.e. like the Tuas of the world. That's when Saban reset.
Yes.
And now you're at 7-6 a second year in a row, which isn't 5-7, which isn't 4-8, which isn't 3-9. You've beaten Northwestern. You beat Michigan State. Okay. But you had to fight like hell to do it. You didn't crush anybody really this year. You did win some close games, which is different than a year ago. But 2 years ago, you went and won on the road at Illinois. All right. And you against anybody any good, you haven't found a way to win, period. In 3 years. Cincinnati's okay. Northwestern's okay. But for what you have from an investment standpoint and a recruiting ranking standpoint and a staff standpoint and a facility situation, it shouldn't even be math. You still got to go play the game, but you are so much taller with an advantage that and it isn't just satisfying. At least you're to that point where you beat some teams you're supposed to beat, still can't get over the Minnesota bug. You beat Wisconsin, then people don't care. You're supposed to here. And I know that's a entitlement that drives other fan bases nuts and even probably drives some Nebraska fans nuts, but you just have an ROI discussion that keeps coming up every 4 or 5 years with whoever's in the head chair.
How discouraging is it going to be, though, when the portal rolls around and however many guys from Nebraska enter or they say you should enter? Again, it's a two-way thing. It's not just I'm leaving. There's a lot of people that are being told, you're probably not going to work out for you here. And you're going to go and tell players that you brought in the last 3 years, some of them, it's not working out for you here. And they're going to go and bring in players that were someplace else and say that thank you, South Dakota State. Thank you, East Tennessee State. Thank you, Illinois or wherever, for developing players that now we think are good enough to play in our program. Right?
I think you got to be able to identify the guys that are on the verge of breaking through, keep them. And if somebody else has done a better job of coaching and developing and identifying talent and you can go get them, because you didn't have a Pritchett or a Spindler on this squad. As much as we're belly aching about 7-6 right now and how it looked in most of the losses, you don't have a bowl season without Dillon. You don't have a bowl season without Pritchett. You don't have a bowl season without Marshall. You don't have a bowl season without Sierra Wright.
You don't have a bowl season. You don't have a bowl season without Akron and Houston Christian.
For sure. Well, that's very true.
Can I also ask the question, as you list off those names, who are the key contributors that Matt Rule brought in from the high school ranks on this team?
Yeah, Vincent Shavers. I mean, you're asking you're not asking who's all a conference. I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I was letting you go. My facial reaction was, we're on the same page.
That's one side of the football. Barney,
okay.
Lindenmeyer.
Was he Matt Rule? Or was he the year before Rule? Was he Matt Rule? Was he first year under Rule?
He's a junior, so no.
Redshirt junior even, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else? Lateef. I'm just going through names right now, and the point is being made for you of your high school recruiting is they're still
the one I can think of
in development.
Gunnar Gatula was a Matt Rule recruit,
and Evans
was a Rule.
That was Frost.
I thought he was that Mickey Joseph year was the recruiting year, and then I think his first year was Matt Rule's first year, but I don't think he was a Rule recruit. I think he was a Rule holdover.
So we're talking maybe 5 guys. I'll say Donnie Jones.
Okay, yeah, there's one. Deshaun Singleton was a JUCO guy that he brought in.
Mm-hmm.
A little different. The development was done partially elsewhere. But it's just tough to find key contributors on each side of the ball.
So
that was a guy that was recruited by Rule, developed by Rule, and now is contributing for Rule.
we're zooming in on a talent evaluation situation
and development.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you can get a 3-star if you want to go by stars. You can get 3 stars and turn them into 4s and 5s if you know how to develop and coach them up. If all of the players that sign on those NILs or NLIs, all their coaches say the same. You're getting a gem, hardest working guy. I've never had a player like this before. He's right in line with some of the great players we've ever had in our program. Nebraska's getting a good one. The guy's the hardest hitter I've ever coached. Every player has that tagline to him, and they're getting them, and people get excited about it. And I bet most fans probably can't name half the players who have been in the last 3 recruiting classes.
Well, let me just list off the top 5 guys from Matt Rule's first 3 recruiting classes based on recruiting rankings. In his first year, 2023, number 1, Malachi Coleman. Number 2, Prince Will Umam-Yellen.
He did great for Ole Miss.
Yeah. Number 3, Cam Linhart.
Cam's
number 4, Jaden Doss.
Gone.
And then number 5, Riley Van Poppel. To 2024, number 1, Dylan Raiola, a guy that has played a ton for you. Number 2, Carter Nelson. Number 3, Grant Bricks. Number 4, Roger Gradney. Number 5, Preston Tamua. 2025, Dawson Merritt, Cortez Mills, Malcolm Simpson, Christian Jones, Sean Hammerbeck.
So I'm excited to see Christian Jones and Malcolm Simpson, assuming they're not in the portal.
But it says a lot about what your high school recruiting has been.
You've seen
the
Nelson
evaluation, the development.
Sparingly play, but the full context of it, got into spring ball late, got hurt last spring. So he's been somebody that's not been around as long as some of the other high school guys. But yeah, I mean, Cam Lenhart's a guy that had a sack tonight, made a play, but we're not seeing a monster. Just to point out Cam Lenhart in the scope of this conversation, Cam Lenhart had a great first 3 games as a true freshman, where he sacked a couple sacks against Shadur out in Boulder, right? Him and Princewell flying off the edge. Like, okay, this looks promising for young guys that are getting in, but a guy like Lenhart is now at the point after 3 years where, should he stick and stay, that it needs to be, is he a contributor? Is he a snap eater? Or is he a difference maker? And based on the recruiting rankings, your expectation is, from a NIL standpoint and a retainment, is he better turn into a game wrecker, or at least somebody that can step up if you have a game wrecker opposite him in a Winery.
Mm-hmm.
So let him eat.
The names you read off, that's amazing. That is very telling. Now, there's some guys that of the last class that, Christian Jones and Jeremiah Jones, or, there's some really good players there, but are they going to become the players that develop into the players that they should develop into? I think Cam Lenhart's a really good player. I just think he's undersized for the position that he plays. Mm-hmm. And to do that in the Big Ten, I think is really difficult. But I have a lot of respect for what he has done at Nebraska. So I just think he's a little. I think he's a defensive tackle playing at 270, 280, maybe even not that much. But the players you listed those first couple of seasons. Okay, first recruiting class, you're always getting a late start. You just hope you're able to have some stick in there. But people get so caught up in rankings and stars and the hyperbole, and it's not matching up in performance. And maybe it will develop in time, and maybe it is going to take patience. I'm watching the game right now. Miami leads 14-0 against Ohio State, who was driving.
Really?
They got a pick 6. So there were 2 years ago they wanted Cristobal out of Miami. So
we may still find a way to screw it up. I mean, we're not all three cheering for Miami, are we?
Right, but what I'm saying, they wanted him gone, and he's got them back to where they're competitively playing in the college football playoff. They had a bye last week, but they're competitive in the in the college football playoff with a coach that they wanted to fire a couple of years ago, one of their own. Maybe he reset the program, or they gave him time to develop the talent that he brought in.
Well, I'm just looking here. I believe I'm correct on this. I'm checking my math to make sure. Dylan Raiola is the only 4-star or above. Oh, excuse me, Princewell. But Princewell and Dylan Raiola are the only 4-stars or above that Matt Rule has recruited out of the high school rankings that have started a game for Nebraska.
Yep. And one went to Ole Miss, and
the other's about to leave your program.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would have been a difference maker in the game today.
No. The other Brian, as we wind it down on air here on KFOR, iron sharpens iron. Brian, good to hear from you in the stream. Not enough iron on the roster. Then we see actual iron on Saturdays get cut into pieces. Nebraska needs more talent. Yes, coaching needs to improve too. Well put. More of your comments in the stream, and we'll do a little Average Joe / Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. After Dark, 489-1240. Can they still call in if we're doing After Dark or no?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay, so you can still hit the phone lines, 489-1240 or 800-825-5865. We'll get back to regular programming on a Friday night on KFOR, and then do a little bit here. We'll play some Rule for you. Are you excited?
Yeah.
All right. So are we ready and break?
I think so. I'm doing some mental math in my head here to make sure this actually works out like I think it should. Give us a second. Let me make sure. This is a new studio for us. I think this should work.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, and action. Good.
And we continue on.
Great.
Has this worked?
Do you want to check? Do you want to check? Yeah, I'm not hearing me. So that's how the sausage is made by one Elijah Herbel.
You guys, if you aren't ready, you don't know how much of a thrill that was right there for me.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what's that? I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
We just got to give a lot of credit to Utah come next.
Yeah. Well, let me just play it for you. All right. Do this one.
All right. First of all, credit to Utah. I thought number 4, the quarterback, was spectacular. We've seen him all year.
We do the drinking game.
Where's that bottle of Crown you got me?
The people, you're not lying. All right, continuing on.
Let it be known for the people out there. It is still sealed. It's sealed and full. We have not touched it yet.
Well, and I didn't give him a tried bottle. Bill was like, "Well, give me half a used." All right.
First, everybody. We thought we did a good job for the first 3 quarters, really stopping the run. But unfortunately, a lot of the routes in the passing game, pass defense, they defended us pretty well. Phil Snow stepped in and try to do a really great job for us. He could have stuck with some of the stuff we did all year long. Really got us a kind of a kickstart into being a 4-down quarters team for next year. And so we had some kind of miscommunications at times, or just not quite playing fast enough in the passing game. But I think that we thought that was the best thing for us to do moving forward, was to start really kind of on what Coach Orich wants to do for us as we move forward. Offensively, obviously, we came out, set the tone early. The backs, I thought, did a really nice job, and then just really quite couldn't sustain it. So special teams-wise, I thought they won there. So credit to them. They were 4-8 team last year that made the necessary changes to get to, 11, 12-win team, whatever, to 11-win team, I guess. And those are the same things, the changes that we've tried to make so we can get there next year. But they got the best of us today. So with that, I'll answer your questions.
Your offense had 5 straight 3-and-outs. Did they make an adjustment, and you guys failed to adjust, or did you get away from what was working?
No, we didn't get away from it. They started zone pressuring us, and you have to just kind of win those plays, and we just didn't quite win enough. And we had some opportunities, but we had a screen that should be out for a touchdown. We just don't quite make a block. We have some plays that are just not quite there. We're just not quite there. We left the pocket sometimes a little too early, so. I just think it was just, we kind of ran in rhythm early. They made some adjustments, and we just, our guys just didn't quite make enough kind of plays. And then the second half, obviously, we moved the ball a couple times, brought it down the field, and just didn't get in the end zone, obviously.
How do you assess TJ's play? You touched on it there, but
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, I mean, we ran the ball early and had good rhythm. I think there were a couple of times where the pocket, you maybe left the pocket just a little too early. Some other times where, you went for a fourth down and we're open and they, they bat the ball down. So, I thought he protected the ball until that last pick. So I wouldn't say it was just either way from what I could tell. I'll have to go back and watch the tape to really have a good feel for where he was at and, see the reads. But, they were playing man coverage against us and, pressuring and we just didn't hurt them enough. And so whether that was the plays or the routes, I have to go back and see that.
You referred to the defense's lack. I mean, we weren't happy with the effort of the last two regular season games, physicality. How was that today in your mind? I thought we were really physical. I thought we stopped the run for the most part. Like in the first half, I think at one point they had like 60 yards and like 100 rushing, about 150 yards passing. They got out on one naked, and the quarterback just took off. But I mean, these guys are running for 300-400 yards a game against people, and I thought. We were holding up on the inside. Really, was the passing game. We threw for 300 yards against us, and from the very first play, when it was cover two, they get behind us in cover two. That can never happen. It shouldn't happen. Third and 18, scrambling around, and he makes a play. So, but I didn't think it was. I never felt like it was a lack of physicality. I never felt like it was anything. In fact, coming into the game, we were really thinking a lot about the run game, obviously with the way we had played the run during the year, and we were spilling everything, and there wasn't a lot of big explosive runs. So I wasn't concerned with the effort. It was more just the execution. And, some guys got banged up in the game. A lot of guys played in the game, and every dark time there's some silver linings. There's a lot of young players made some plays. Quinn Clark catches a fade down the left sideline. A bunch of young guys on defense played today. It's because we're learning some lessons by fire, but I didn't question the effort at all. Given the number of players you played today and the schematic theme that you're sort of moving toward what Forrest wants to do, did you kind of incur the risk that you knew that there might be some moments that were a little bit off, given that you were doing something new and you were doing it with young guys against a really good team?
Yeah, we came into the game knowing that, Sean wasn't going to play and Isaiah wasn't going to play. We were down some guys, but, that's the point of bowl games, right? Is it thrusts you into the next year. Let me just say this. We came to win the game. There's nothing that we didn't want to do to win the game. However, we just felt like the best chance we had was to kind of move into that 4 down and play quarters and play cover 3 and bring a couple pressures. And, if anything, we were like, hey, are we going to have enough? We had to work hard and having enough hats for the run game. And it wasn't like it was play action, like we were sold out to the run. They just dropped back and threw it against us too much. But they had a dynamic quarterback, one of the best players we've seen all year, and he was able to run around and buy time. So, and then you get into the game, right? So we started Justin Rhett, we started Marquise. Justin goes down, so you got to see Jameer Khan in there, you got to see Caleb Benning in there. So, guys have to decide who's going to go in the portal, who's not. But for the most part, a lot of young players that should be back with us got to play a lot. So that is sort of the silver lining of kind of the way that we play. Even though the defensive ends I was working with, I have Cam, I have Will, I have Keona, and I have Cade. I mean, those are freshmen and sophomores. So, there was a lot of work done this week to try to take away the quarterback run. I thought they worked hard at it.
What do you make of Makai and Nelson today, and how do you see that running back picture?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and look at it, Makai had the explosive runs. Mosey continued to make plays. Quinn Eyes was the short yardage back and the third down blitz back. And, coming into this game, that was the least of my worries. And I think those are 3 really good players. So we feel really good about them being the backs moving forward next year. And sort of today was a more traditional approach to the running back room as opposed to what happened this year where everyone kind of mixed in. So, like I said, there's, we have the portal coming up, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. We'll see kind of how it goes. But we do feel really good about the running back room as it is right now.
Matt, with the way these last 3 games ended on the season, how big is this offseason to get this roster right, get things correct for 2026? Yeah, there's a ton of work that has to be done.
And I think that work for us is and we began it a while ago, right? I mean, I think in terms of like looking at the off season, looking at the Big Ten schedule, looking at the travel, we coming down the stretch of the year, we're pretty beat up. So how can we do things better? How can we do things differently? From sports science to medicine to strength training, we've been studying everything. And so, obviously the last 3 games make it hard to say a lot of things, but like, as I said to the guys,
Henry Lutoski said in the press conference yesterday, get to back-to-back bowl games. That is an accomplishment. I don't want to forget that for them. But to get over the hump, we have a lot to do. And so, we're going to attack it, and we're going to be unbelievably persistent at it. And, like I said, they're a great model, right? They were 4-8 last year, and that quarterback was on another roster, and he came in, and he's been a lightning rod for them. And now they're going to have to deal with the portal now too, So all of us have to deal with all that. So, but Pat Stewart, Keith Williams, Logan Holgerson, those guys, I think we're in really good position in terms of what we'll do in terms of personnel.
Does that start just right away on Friday, or I guess
they've been working on it for months. The portal opens up, and we'll see who's in it, and we'll go from there.
Do you have a sense of who you may move from
No, I mean, we've re-signed a lot of guys to contracts, and they can't anticipate being here. And there's some guys that they have to make decisions that's best for them. So we're not super worried about it. There's a lot of guys that would like to come to the University of Nebraska, and we're in a good position. So Pat and those guys are well positioned to do that.
I know Penn State got hot. I will be here today. Concerned about the gap where you guys are at, where those three teams are. Do you view this game as similar to the Penn State round?
Not well. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we faced 3 top 15 probably teams, and we lost. So I mean, we're not a top 15 team. You know what I'm saying? It's it doesn't mean we're a bottom 15 team. It just means we're not at the level of these guys right now, and so I have to take responsibility for that. We lost 6 games this year. 5 of them were to ranked team. Penn State Penn State lost 30 guys for the bowl game, and they still won't beat Clemson. I mean, they were the preseason top 5 team. We're climbing, trying to get there, and like I said, so we'll look at everything. We'll attack everything in the portal. We'll attack everything with our roster. We'll try to find ways to improve. So that's. I mean, to me, it's really black and white, isn't it? Hey, they're the 15 team in the country. They beat us. It was, we were able to hang with them early for a while. We're not able to do it the entire game yet, and that's where we have to improve.
We're talking about Rob here today. What do you think he was able to get out of you in these last couple of weeks, just being around the program that can help him kind of pushing it?
Yeah, well, I think he's really been able to look at the roster and be able to give guys a vision for where they fit. The worst thing in the world would be to have a really good kid that's a really good player that's not going to fit the defense that we're in moving forward, right? And at the same time, there might be some guys, like Jameer Khan out there, he's a great fit for what we want to do in terms of playing this position. So he's been able to meet with the guys one-on-one. He's been able to be at practice. He was able to be at the practice flow today. I would just say, we've been here for 3 years. For 2 years, we were really good on defense. We struggled this year. I take full responsibility for that. Okay. I hired John, who's a great coach, and just kind of forced him into something like, hey, stick with the 3-3-5 because we've been good at it. Really wasn't his fit. We just said, that's not right. We parted ways. I feel bad for him. He's a great person. I wish him the absolute best. We brought in Rob. He's got a system. Said, Rob, put your system in. He knows the guys that he wants to go get for the system. He knows the guys that fit here for the system. We started it. And we didn't put in his system. We just did the kind of quarters the way we had done it early in the year. After Michigan, we didn't play quarters ever again. So it was a tough transition this last month, but at least gave us a head start. So I have no doubt that Rob is going to have us playing great defense. He knows what he wants. I have no doubt that in year 2 with Coach Eckler, that he's going to have us going where we want to go. I have no doubt that Jeep is going to have our offensive line being, a dominant group. And I have no doubt that Dana will get the thing where he wants it to be. So, but, we have to get that work done. I'm going to answer your question. I'm not going to look myself. So
after today, what do you think the identity of your team is and what do you want it to be?
I think that's a great question. I think it's kind of for next year. I think we want to play great defense and play great special teams, and we want to control the line of scrimmage on offense and be explosive in the passing game. And we ran the ball really well early today, but we were never quite able to hit some of those plays. We ran a wheel route to Ja'Cory and we just weren't able to quite hit it, or we got pressure at times. I'll say this: guys like Turner Corcoran, man, that kid, he can barely walk. He just cares so much about being a Husker. I'm sure people are gonna beat him up a little bit for a sack at the end or whatever. But man, guys, I'm just telling you, he's out there on a leg that most guys wouldn't play on. So I love that group, and but we'll have a chance now to go back with Jeep, to go back with Dana, and really kind of work through kind of where we want to get to, and but yeah, we have a lot of work to do. So
Sam, where you take away the green light on the kickoff returns and you just say let's do the 25 instead of trying to
Yeah, we did that in that game. We went, we kicked it through the end zone, but we finally said, enough's enough, right? So credit to them. I mean, Corey's too good of a player. We're trying to get the ball in his hands more often. I give Coach Eckler a lot of freedom on that, but he felt like after the second one, he said, hey, the next one's going to be a touchdown. So we did it again. We got tackled at the 14, they were winning and we weren't. And so we would have fair caught the last one, but went through the end zone. So anybody else? All right. Thank you guys. Happy New Year.
So that was Matt Rule as we're after dark here with the Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens. About 10 minutes left as we go, but you had the identity question, Bill and Elijah. Those are important. And explosive passing is what the offensive identity wants to be. And, that's well and good, but he did say you want to be dominant on the line of scrimmage. Presumably that would be run game, but it wasn't said run game. But defense, special teams, sign me up for both of those, right?
Well, you want to be dominant along the lines of scrimmage, but he also says he's playing a guy with a debilitating leg injury at right tackle,
and
which shows me you don't have proper development behind the scenes of your guys who aren't on your starting line.
Too loyal to a guy who's probably trying to go John Wayne in his sixth and final game.
Probably a combination of both. Probably a combination. We've seen backups on the offensive line in the Minnesota game a little bit today. They're clearly not developing behind the scenes like they should.
Or as quickly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that felt to me like 10 minutes of word salad, though.
That the Corcoran thing is puzzling. If this was, as I said in the pregame show, this reminded me of spring ball. That you had 15 practices in 3 weeks. You actually had a game that you had to play, and you were going to see a lot of play. There were a lot of names on the back of jerseys. I'm like, well, I haven't seen that one all year. So they did play a lot of people, got a lot of looks at a lot of people. But, and God bless Turner Corcoran. He's been through a whole hell of a lot. And if he's out there one-legged and he's playing his final game as a Husker after 6 years, let him play a little bit. But let's see somebody out there at one of those tackle spots, and let's see what that young, developing player is doing in your program, and maybe two of them. And if Turner Corcoran gets 20 snaps and, pun intended, legs it out, great. But let's see somebody's development. But he said I think he said we have a lot of work to do. Okay, that's resetting. Okay, we're making a whole lot out of that reset, rebuild, tweak type thing from 3-4 weeks ago. Whenever he said that, we got a lot of work to do. Yeah, you do. I think there were times when we were watching two different games. We hung with them. I don't think after the first quarter there was any hanging with them. When they were getting 5 straight drives of 9 plays or more and scoring on every drive, and you're going 3 and out on 5 consecutive drives, that's not hanging. That's not stopping the run. That's not
getting
that's
off
not
the
that,
field on third down.
That's
third and
not
long, third and medium. It was uncomplimentary football against somebody that forced you into it. And it's
that's
been
not
that way
competitive football.
No, it's been that way against anybody good they faced.
You got
Since Michigan.
535 to 343. And most of those yards came in the fourth quarter. First quarter, and then the fourth quarter, and the game was already out of reach.
Yeah.
Right.
So your second and third quarters have enough lipstick on them where you outscored your opponents, but you got owned. You got absolutely owned 9 times out of 10, second and third quarter. So when someone makes an adjustment on you, you have no recourse offensively or defensively. Defense can't stop anybody. Offense, God forbid, goes 3 and out once, but then it turns into 5 in a row. Meanwhile, somebody's on a heater, scoring 4 out of 5 possessions, touchdowns, not field goals, and then they slip in a field goal on you. I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible that You don't have an answer. And it comes down to that gap, right? That gap of anybody with any physicality and a conscience of what they want to do on offense. Minnesota, USC, Iowa, Penn State, Utah. They're going to run the football, then they're going to hit you with some play action where they've got a mobile quarterback that is a difference maker, and you don't have an answer.
Well, and that Utah team you're seeing this year is what you thought Nebraska would be playing like by year 3.
Yeah.
Developed solid along the lines of scrimmage, a dual threat quarterback that uses his legs to open up things with his arm, can beat you through the air, a defense that flies around.
Well, Nebraska, you know what and I'll give Nebraska a little bit of credit, and I know their tackling wasn't great tonight, but at least there were more bodies around. I mean, I saw that again, and it had been since September, where you had 2 or 3 guys to bring down one Utah dude, and that's how it had to be.
There were more players missing tackles around the ball carrier.
The first 2 missed. Number 3 and number 4 eventually kept that yards after contact to 2 or 3, not 13.
I was just amazed.
I noticed that.
There was one play where, and it was indicative of the whole season on stopping the run. I think it was in the second quarter. The contact was made 4 or 5 yards downfield, and then the back twists and turns and picks up 8
as he's delivering a blow.
Yeah. It's like that is the entire season in a nutshell right there. A handoff. Nobody touches the ball carrier at the line. The linebackers, again, like I said, didn't make plays because there's just too many bodies around them. They can't read and react because they're getting the defensive linemen shoved into them that they can't move. And then the ball carrier gets touched 4 or 5 yards and then falls forward for 3 more. And it's 2nd down and 2.
Mm.
And so I just don't know why it is that this team gets, there's no course correction. There's no adjustments. Teams adjust to Nebraska, and there's no, okay, you're going to do this, then we're going to do this. And it just doesn't change. And, I'm amazed by that, the first 15 plays or whatever it is, first quarter, wow, this is a really competitive ball game. And then the opponent adjusts and there's no adjustment back. And it's like, well, let's run that screenplay again, see if that'll work. And it doesn't.
You just get away. And this is so simplistic, but you get away from cranking out 4, 5, 6, 7 yards on first down, running the football. Eventually you feel compelled to slip in a pass, and ultimately it's not completed. And then you're off schedule and it's time to kick and the defense can't get a stop, and then you're not able to respond offensively, and it's just a vicious cycle.
I thought part of that was also Utah did a good job responding and making adjustments to Nebraska's rushing attack.
Which is fine. They got some. Eventually, the faucet got shut off, and it was no longer 2nd and 3.
Mm-hmm.
It turned into 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, and you're punting the football. Fellas, in a word, tonight's game
or the season as a whole.
Let's go season.
Can I just say one thing real quick before we do that?
Yeah.
I wept openly when Nebraska lined up in the traditional I formation.
Okay.
I just want to say that I look like the dude at the end of the Don't Pollute commercial where I just had that one little tear just wept down when I saw Nebraska line up in the I.
The guy on the poster that Ralph Cifaretto tried to shake down. Total Fugazi. You get that at all, Elijah?
No.
Sopranos.
Yeah.
Season 3, check out.
I've never made it even to the end of season 1.
Go look at Ralph Cifaretto. YouTube it later. Ralph Cifaretto and Total Fugazi.
but they lined up in the eye.
It looked like that guy who's got a name, Bill.
Anyway,
season in a word. Shallow. I'm going to go shallow.
Yeah.
Total fluff and very little substance. So I'm going to go shallow.
Okay, it's a two meaning with my word, buried. Because it's what I want to do. Thinking back on this Husker football season is bury it in the memory, and also this Husker team got buried by any good team that they played.
Mm-hmm.
Buried. That's the word.
Okay.
It's just so many.
Happy New Year.
On to basketball season.
Hey, Average Joe's back at it Friday afternoon at 4 for Nebraska, Michigan State. Fired up for that.
Phrase of the season. Thank God for Fred.
Yeah.
I still can't think of a word that just I got two, and it goes back to what I said after Akron, Houston Christian, and a little bit of Michigan, and it's fool's gold.
Yeah,
it's a fool's gold season. Highlight of the year: Kansas City, Cincinnati, August.
Boom.
And
one and done.
And I mean, we were talking about how great that defense was looking. That was top passing defense in the country. Roger, bravo.
Oh wow.
I'll show no girl. Bad sumo. Bad sumo.
Yeah. It's like Russell asking for drinking anything. No, shockingly, we did not need anything. We're saving that for after the show.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I know it's in the other room. I know exactly where it is.
Another round.
Mine's sitting in front of me. Christmas gift from Schmidt, still sealed.
So he thinks.
NFL, not for long. Yeah,
Did you drink it and fill it back with water like a high schooler?
I would have brought you vodka if I was going to do that to you. Whoa, you got me some goose, Schmidt. All right. Yeah, have fun with that about midnight tonight.
Is this shrink wrap on the top?
No,
it's still sealed.
The old grocery store. Yeah, you were wrapping watermelons long enough. You knew how to fix it. Anywho, Bill, appreciate you much, brother. We'll give you a shout on Friday.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Elijah, appreciate you, brother. Good to do this. And thanks to all of you Joes and KFOR listeners. Season again of Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens. Thanks to Huxley and crew, 14th and Pine Lake, 84th at Old Shady. Soon to be 84th and Adams.
And Miami's driving again up 14-0.
This is nuts. I got to get somewhere to watch this. But pretty crazy. And you know what? Thank you, Nebraska. I got out of New Year's Eve dinner. So there we go. We'll be back at you 4 o'clock on the Average Joe Sports Show into a new year. Appreciate you tuning in. Like and subscribe as always. Tell a friend. Average Joe Sports Show YouTube, Real Red Reaction YouTube with KFOR Facebook and Twitter, KFORnow.com, and find and follow on Twitter as well. AJ Sports Radio. Game Dog, Bruce, Captain, Cherry Bomb, so many of you. Black Hills Brennan. He texted me during the third quarter and said, just start the reaction show now. I said, no, I'm at the bar. I'm not leaving right now. Good to see Uncle Mitch. Russell, thank you. Roger, good stuff as always. And Brian, as well as Kobe and Fong Wei and many of you. Ed Foley, thanks for checking in again. Bruce, good to have you. Talk back at you Friday at 4 with the Average Joe Sports Show. Thanks for tuning in to Real Red Reaction with